sense to the team. So, as informed, this panel will talk with respect to two aspects. One is the infrastructure in terms of what kind of processing facilities, fleet size, right, and the rest of it, and what are the operational issues and also some kind of solutions if they're being piloted in any of the states or the local bodies. So let me start by inviting the panel. It's a fairly big panel, as you can see from the number of chairs. So let me start by inviting the panel, Professor Umesh Mishra, um, Peaceful Roy, Tarun PK, RK Barthakur, Roopjyoti Khaklari, Dr. Sahil Momin, Jerusha Shrestha, Taurem Singh, Shirshendu Das, Iticha Shara, and Ashadeep Barua. Okay, so basically, our questions will revolve around the value chain of solid waste management, right? So it starts from either source segregation or quantification, characterization, which is then followed by collection, processing, transportation. Transportation obviously occurs at various stages, and then finally the kind of infrastructure we have and disposal. So to start off with, on the basis of the data that we have, we know that only 33 of the overall 277 urban local bodies in the northeastern part have reported on waste processing infrastructure, right? So only 33 cities out of 277, which works out to about 12%, right? So the reporting is as low as 12%. Now, the question is, one, why is the reporting so low on infrastructure? Is there a mechanism where the state follows up with the urban local bodies or the local governments on kind of trying to procure this data? And is there also any kind of monitoring by the ministry on these issues? So it's not a targeted question to any one of the panelists. It's open to everyone to respond to, and we would like to have as many comments as we can. So you can start, sir.
No, if we see, I am telling you about the Tripura case. Okay. So in Tripura, they have just 3 years back inaugurated that waste processing plant at Devendra Chandra Nagar, which is located slightly 4 to 5 kilometers away from the city. And for this, it takes long time to collect environmental clearance, because all these particularly when the environmental clearance is given, they will see it is how much from distance from the airport, how much distance from the periphery of the international boundary, like Bangladesh is there. So many of the northeast states, there is an issue that कोई ना कोई स्टेट माने इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्री आ जाता है. Okay, so that is a लिए it should not be located within 10 kilometers from international boundary and 5 kilometers from airport. So all these clearances takes time, and forest department clears the land, all these things also it takes time. So though fund has been allocated, of course, I am not directly related to ULB. Whatever data we listen from the ULB people, I am telling the truth. They may tell better. We are not that directly. We are literature people. We can supply content. We are not yeah. So thing is that whatever I know, and if you see in Agartala Municipal Corporations, they are collecting daily 20 million tons of door-to-door collections. 60 million tons per day they are collecting from all the marketplaces. And about, sorry, metric tons, sorry. Ton. Okay, not million ton. Metric tons, sorry. Empty, they have written empty. I don't know. Okay. Then, particularly this BMW about 0.5 ton they are collecting. And for BMW, they are having a very good processing unit in Agartala. Okay. That is beautiful. And from that, completely they are doing beautiful incinerations, and the ashes they are selling. The best thing, so whatever ashes they are getting out of after incineration, that they are selling, and it is a soil amendment for cultivation in the fertilizers. So
okay, anyone else would like to add? Yeah.
Okay, regarding having solid waste management infrastructure in the city is very important. Since we are working in the Swachh Bharat mission, and when we visited to the field to understand people why they are not giving their door-to-door collects to us, because they always ask, they always say, if we are giving our waste to you, you are just like dumping the waste to the landfill. So dump yard. So why we are giving that? So to convince the people, to change the people's mindset, it is very much important to have context-specific infrastructure in the city. And for that, like also this basic, I think, infrastructure starts from the vehicles. What happens in Assam, there are ULBs, they are collecting the waste. The main problem is having without partition vehicles. We are running vehicle without partitions, and we are telling people to segregate the waste, which is a very negative message to the people. Again, we are saying do segregate, and again, we are collecting waste which mixed waste. So that is another challenge. So what we have done gap assessment in Assam. Why like infrastructure is important, what kind of vehicles we'll be needing in Assam, because there are very narrow lanes. Also, we have like good balance to enter the auto tippers. So we did the route mapping exercise for Assam. How many vehicle will be needing, what kind of vehicle, types of vehicle will be needing. So for the afterwards, like we have procured vehicles, and many of the ULBs now having 4 partitions vehicle, considering all these Swachh Sarvekshan protocols, because before Assam, you will be able to see all the vehicles are like collecting waste in the same vehicle without partition. Now you will be able to see in Assam maximum of the city vehicle with 4 partition, that is dry, wet, domestic hazardous, and sanitary waste. So that we have through our like system, through lots of push, we have done that. And secondly, in Assam, the processing is like quite challenging, and we still do not have good processing plants. The Directorate of Municipal Administration helping us out to clear the legacy waste. But the main problem is when it comes to the like fresh waste, we do not have such plant till date. There are some plants in cities like Dibrugarh, they have 100 metric ton TPD, 100 TPD plant, but still the main challenge is the operational. It is a big plant in Upper Assam, but still we are facing challenge to how to operate the plant, because plant has been all successfully like installed, everything has been done. So we have limited knowledge to operate the plant. And there are limited human resource in the ULBs also to sustain those plants. So we have money, we have budget, but the main problem is we have to acquire is the knowledge, how to sustain the momentum, whatever we have received from the government. That is the main problem we are facing currently. Everyone is talking about good technology. Everyone is talking about good infrastructure. The main problem is operational. Operational is very much important, because 100 TP in a 100 TPD plant, they generate more than 2 lakhs electricity bill. So to pay all these bills, at least we have to earn some revenue from the plant. So that is very much important. And ULB do not have much fund to pay electricity bill also. These are the small ULBs. They do not generate like large scale revenue. Afterwards, that plans we have, but the operational is the challenging. And again, Assam is taking some initiatives like we have proposed actually uh, 43 solid waste management plant in fast trains. That will be including MRF facility, sanitary landfill, and compost plant, wet waste compost plant. So that 43 already like SWM project has been approved, and we have prioritized the cities. And now 53 already DPR has been prepared. That is in second tranche. So Assam is scaling up regarding the processing plant, because we have received lots of queries from the peoples also, as well as like mandated by Swachh Bharat Mission. And also our minister and commissioner secretary madam is very much interested to develop decentralized solid waste management plant. So that way we are gearing up. And there are some plants, since I told you, we have organic waste converter in maximum of the cities, but that is dysfunctional because of lack of knowledge, because of the plant is not appropriate to the city, and because of we have only 500, I think, kg half TPD capacity. And also they don't know how to use what waste to put. So they are directly putting all these elephant apple. They are putting banana plants directly to the compost. So that is like another challenge for us to train the people and how they will operate it. So solid waste management plant is very much important, but I will emphasize on the operational and training of the people who will be looking after the plants. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, capacity building definitely is a very important aspect. Thanks for pointing that out. I think you wanted to add to.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. Regarding your points, question regarding the law in reporting the infrastructure. I am from Meghalaya, so I'll like to give a small report. Like what is happening in Meghalaya is that we have 10 ULBs. Out of this 10 ULBs, we are having only 2 ULBs which having infrastructure. So from the presentation that we seen yesterday, there's only 180 TPD of infrastructure. So there's a lacking in reporting of the infrastructure in the portal. Because in Shillong itself, there's an existing plan of 170 TPD compost plan. And in Tura, they are having 40 TPD composting plan and a 10 TPD RDF plan. So the rest of the 8 ULBs don't have any infrastructure, so they don't have to report us because they didn't have. So especially for this 8 ULBs which don't have any infrastructure, what is lacking behind is because like the same point, that is the capacity building. The capacity building right from the root. Our ULB in Meghalaya is very low. It means the strength is very weak. There are ULBs which are working with only less than 10 staff. So we have to, when we talk about waste management, they only know that we have to have a truck, we have to have a driver and his attendants to go and collect and disposed in the dump site. The whole staff don't know about what is the quantum of waste, what is the density of waste. Like what we have the report yesterday, the QPR report, which is totally wrong. That there is a ULB which only 50,000 population. They are showing that the collection is 60 ton per day. We didn't have the idea about the quantum of waste. So there should be a capacity building right from the root, right from the staff of the ULBs, so that they know about what is the quantum of waste and what is the characterization of waste. And then from that, they will can carry on regarding reporting. And when it comes to infrastructures as well, if we don't know, have these basic points of quantification of waste, waste characterization, how do we design our infrastructure? Sometimes our infrastructure is over-designed, sometimes it's less designed. So we have to build this capacity. And to add to that, also a baseline survey, a proper survey need to be done. Sometimes we survey, there's a difference in the city, especially in our, the density is not high in our place in Meghalaya. And there's a place where the people still use this backyard garden for kitchen composting. Sometimes we just assume, and there's a high rate of, there's a high quantity of estimation of this waste quantity, and there's over design of the plan. And when it, and again, in the infrastructure, regarding like what my friends have said, the operational, especially in Northeast, we have in Meghalaya, like what my colleague says yesterday, if a single conveyor belt is damaged, we have to order it from outside the state. If we cannot even get it from Guwahati, we have to wait for a week. And regarding the labor, the skill, labor we are not getting because of the local there, they are not experienced to this new machineries. So because of all these, maybe there's a lack of reporting. We cannot get proper number, and maybe we have to build the capacity of the ULBs in our state. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm from the non-profit sector, but I've also worked with the Tinsukia municipality in the past. I'm just trying to think out loud, like why less reporting? Like one way of looking at it could also be there's less work happening, which is why there's less reporting. That's one. Secondly, whatever work, how much ever work is happening from the ULB's point of view, at least from my experience, from in the landscape, in the Assam Arunachal landscape, there is this lack of seriousness when it comes to waste management. I mean, yesterday I was talking to Jerusha ma'am. I was so impressed, you know, seeing, okay, someone who's from the, for me, it's like a big surprise to see someone from the government can be so, you know, I'm sorry, but this is from my experience that I've seen officials in the Tinsukia municipality, I've worked very closely with them, least bothered, you know, least bothered about anything. They're just working for the salary. So sometimes I also think, like, as a recommendation, can one look at कि जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स है उनके कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग वर्कशॉप्स होते हैं, तो उसमें क्या सिखाया जाता है? रूल्स के बारे में बताया जाएगा या टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टीज बिल्ड किया जाएगा, बट कैन देयर बी सम अदर काइंड ऑफ workshops also? Because we from the not-profit, we have entered into this just because we feel for the cause. There is this passion which the government officials lack because they have no connection to this issue. You know, they are a junior engineer or whatever engineer, and they are now having to deal with waste management, which is, as much as it is a technical problem and issue, it is so much more social and psychological. So, ये aspect पे भी I feel there should be some work that's done with the government officials.
Okay.
Thank you.
And any response on whether the state ever tries to reach out to the city in case, reporting has not happened? Because if you go by the law, it's a mandate, right? So, and it's kind of a violation if the local government does not report, right? So, has that ever happened? Is what my question is. And if not, I mean, what could be the reason for this? Yep, yep, please, sir. Probably it's on. It's on.
Hello. Just I'm taking the trade of our expressions. Well, solid waste management, I feel, had started just 1 or 2 years back. So much has been talking around now. I feel it. Recently, when she's saying about the government officials, nothing taking any action, so they're very casuals. A few days back, we had a bunch of new ACS recruitment in our state. Mr. Singh was in charge. Around 30, 40 people came to my area, and I think they know that I am fighting out for that cause. And they call me, please see, can you come and explain us practically what is happening in Guwahati city? So when I went with them, one vehicle with all your compartments, green, blue, standing in front of a flat. There were 30 people with me. Government knew. So there was, I just asked them, please see how many of them has been come to that dustbin has been given. It's around 40, yes, there were 40 families were in 40 flats. Not a single. The driver and who was accompanying just telling, "Ma'am, please लाइए." क्या? ये वो हम लोग का जरूरत नहीं है. It's not our responsibility. हम लोग जो लोग करेगा जो होगा. Now these young officers, I said, why don't you inquire what is happening? So they went there and said, this is not possible. So then I asked them, this is the Home Affairs going on in the city. How you can transform their mindset? That is the first thing, the source segregations. If you can do it gradually, yes, it is coming up. Today you have come. It's a beginning in Assam. It's a good sign for us. Nothing was there, but it's beginning now. Government is thinking. So that what she is saying is very correct. You go there. Similarly, those in the service providers find out most of them haven't started with a good knowledge of startup Assam. Out of municipality or solid waste management, startup Assam will say most of them are not functioning. The biggest problem in that is they're not getting the payment on time. 3 months, 2 months, it's happening. So it's everybody's responsibility to come up to this level to make it full. So that's the additional comments I'm just adding to you. During my presentation, I'll talk to you on this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I am representing the textile segment, which is not included in the waste management guidelines rules yet. So this is a call to action from my side, because we have been, as a community, have been involved with interactions with in regards to how to manage our textiles, our fashion, surpluses, which we often end up, just pushing it down in our closets and suppressing it so that, we do not have to manage it at all. So the solutions which we have in terms of source segregation, that I want to communicate, so that we do not have that feeling that it is not possible, because in every with every consumer interaction which we had, consumers were not aware on how to segregate it and on what terms will I segregate the waste, what will I get out of it, what is the value which I will be getting out of it. Okay, that is the question. And That is why we have developed this system of circularity where we are offering them services where they can earn, monetize their closet out of it, so that they understand that there is value out of the resources which they have kept in the closet. It's not waste. It's, if you end up donating it, even if it has longevity, even if it can be transformed into something essential as a resource, uh, you can have the idea right when you start decluttering at that point of time itself, right? So we are giving that technological solution, as in the knowledge which we have, we are imbibing in the technology. We are putting it in the technology part, where they have access to the amount of value which they will be getting in terms of selling particular type of products based on the material, based on the condition of the clothing, based on the longevity of the clothing. And second is they can also based on that, you can rent out, swap, upcycle. Upcycle is another part where those are the factors that, if we give them the idea that there are this is the utilization factor of your waste which you are, putting out. If we create the transparency, the value chain, as in this is what is happening to your waste, this is what can happen to your waste. It is not a waste, it is a resource. So that value I would like to like bring it
Okay.
forward.
It actually brings me to my next question, which is about quantification and characterization, right? So we've been having very good discussion since yesterday, but I think quantification and characterization was mentioned just once, right? Which happens to be the first in line of things when you start, planning for waste management, right? Even at a city level, right? So my question essentially is, it is followed by a statement. Basically, there is a group of civil societies who have recently conducted a brand audit in the Himalayan states, the 12 Himalayan states from Jammu Kashmir till Tripura. And what they found was actually very, it's a stark reality today that 68% of what they collected was multi-layer packaging, right? So my question now is, do we have any examples of quantification and characterization studies being undertaken in any of the local governments, initiated by the state? Because it's also a mandate again by the law. If you go by the plastic waste management rules, states have to, every 6 months they have to undertake a waste characterization quantification. So any thoughts on that? How important do you think this is? Why has it not happened as yet? I mean, lots of things have been said already about source segregation, which is my next question. But if we can just stick to quantification characterization for this.
It is
So please use the mic.
in the waste processing plants, because a portion of organic, after segregation of plastic, metal, aluminum, all these are removed. They have to go for characterization organic part, in which whether they can go for compost. For that, the temperature and everything is required. In this, composition is required. That is why without that they cannot go. Waste processing plant includes that.
But question is, Professor Mishra, that even before setting up a waste processing plant,
Mic.
otherwise, how do you know what is
Yes,
that
in the waste processing plant, it is there. Na? In Devendra Chandra Nagar, the plant, they are having a laboratory and they are handling.
No, it's not about the characterization in like, it's not the scientific characterization. It's more about composition of your solid waste. So in the sense, if I'm generating 100 tons every day, how much of it is organic? How much of it is plastics, paper, metal, textile? Right? Textile happens to be one of the emerging streams of waste for which
Actually, any outsourcing may be deployed to any regular random survey should be done, then that will be done. That for that no lab work is done. That is a physical.
Yeah, but my question is, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the panel members. And to answer your question, is I think we are expecting too much and providing very little training and knowledge. I'll elaborate that a little bit. It takes a generation to make a change. It does not happen overnight. Policies can be made maybe in a few months over a year, but it takes a lot of time. Like you said, the IECs are very important, but the one thing that we've often forgotten, that IEC does not only require that for the population, it also requires for the municipalities themselves as well. When we started, or even a few years before we started, waste segregation or waste identification was quantifiable between wet and dry.
Right.
Right. The municipalities were told about wet and dry. They tried learning of that. Now the young may learn very quickly. The older takes a little time. There were implementations of computer softwares. There were implementations of monitoring systems that were put in place. Great initiatives, but adequate training was never provided. When we worked with municipalities in a lot of cases, even as a technology provider, I had to work with them in order to provide their own details to them, to help them, handhold them, and teaching them the system which they were supposed to already know. By the time they learned one thing between wet and dry, they were able to implement it on the ground. And now the implementation has to take throughout the organizational structure, you have to understand. The very uneducated ground staff to a very top of the food chain, IS officers and departments, engineers, JE, executive engineers, all of them. By the time you've set a tone for the entire organizational structure, a new policy has already come in place, where now dry waste is further segregated into more fractions. Rightly so. Wet waste is further segregated in further more fractions. You have garden waste, organic, food organics, XYZs. Today and yesterday, I was surprised to know that there were even further more segregations. Now, as a plastic and a polymer scientist myself, I myself would like to know what are the 47 or the 57 ways of subsections of the dry waste. If you want to implement a policy and you want to see it through, you want it to be implemented right, you need to give the time for the change to be adapted. If you change policies too often, yes, change and adaptation needs to be rapid, and it is the time for action. But you have to be considerate and you have to handhold the municipalities while you go ahead with it. Otherwise, it will simply not be possible. That is one thing that the government, and actually we would recommend CSE to play a big role in that, is when a policy has been made, ensure that you've done a thorough study and a right policy has been made with all the finer details involved. Don't implement a policy and then work on the finer details. That makes it very complicated for people to understand. Once you've implemented your law, then go towards the training. Ensure the training for all the municipal staff, especially the underreporting that you mentioned, and so on. You know, that training is extremely important. Lastly, enforcement. This is something that India in general lacks in waste management. We understand that it is difficult to enforce on masses, but until and unless certain enforcement takes place, nothing will actually move forward. I do not say fine a municipality, do this, or fine your general population. Fine, okay, it's one of the methods of enforcing. There are multiple other ways. If you'll permit me, I'll give you a small example. Do I have 2 minutes, if I can? All right. I come from a very small town called Rajgurunagar, outside Pune. It's about 40 kilometers from Pune. Population not more than 150,000 to 2 lakhs. 3 years ago, the local activists started getting involved in waste management activities. Segregation was the biggest problem, as usual. The best method that was implemented for ensuring segregation, first, train the drivers and the waste collectors. Second, ensure that the waste will not be collected if it is not segregated. people in India or in general Indian mindset, waste is a disgusting thing we want out of our house, right? The whole not in my backyard philosophy is based on that principle. I'll clean my own house 3 times, but I will not let that waste stay in my own house. The moment people were forced to keep their own waste in their own house for a single day, that mindset automatically changed. All the municipality drivers did not collect the waste. Simple action. Additionally, training was given to the women. So we had the drivers and we had certain women groups who take care of the cleaning and so on as well. Additional training was provided to these women, to the waste collectors, that, okay, great, now you've learned the wet and dry. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be hanging additional bags on the same vehicles, where you'll be labeled as glass, where you've labeled as metal, wood, XYZ. Bhangarwala system, unfortunately, has been diminishing from India. It's a very unfortunate thing because 10 years ago, most of the recyclables, at least, were being sold to the Bhangarwalas and it was taken care of. Now it's going away from the west of India, at least. What this allowed the citizens to do is to actually understand, okay, I can actually segregate my own waste. The bigger chunks I carry or keep in my house can be segregated. So you need to have a streamlined method, starting from the right policy to the right implementation and the right enforcement. Your previous question was, are the states enforcing or ensuring that the data has been provided by the ULBs? There's a lack of enforcement. The ULBs may be approached, but the ULBs themselves are not trained. Certain ULBs lack not just training, but also the manpower. And so we have to understand the entire situation and handhold them throughout. It's very easy to blame, but as technology providers and as people who are working in waste management, let's do this together, right?
Okay. Fair point. But my counter argument would be, it is the state's responsibility to build capacity, right? Like, the government can't fall back on civil societies
Absolutely.
for training their resources, right?
No
It is
denying.
a responsibility of the state.
No denying whatsoever, no denying. It is the state's responsibility. Yes, you have assigned the rightful responsibilities. Now let's ensure that responsibility is even enforced. Like I said, enforcement is also part of the cycle, right? It may be state's responsibility, but who's enforcing the state now? The courts, perhaps. Let's not be like Mr. Lodha, who has to wait 5 years just to get an order to ensure certain enforcement takes place. That's the cycle. That's the policy change requirement that's required. Today, if I have a problem with waste management anywhere in the country, which door do I knock? Which court do I go to? Do I have to go to a court, or can I at least go to my state's pollution control board? Or if they're a monitoring authority, where do I go? There is no window. There's no one window solution for me to complain, right? These are small policy changes. It's coming. It's not that it's not an ongoing complaint and it's not a rant. These policies and changes are coming. Another thing that we often lack is not everyone started at the same point. We as a nation, we are very diverse. Not even the northeastern states, they're not equal. They do not have the same starting points. They all had their own problems. They all had their own conflicts. They all had their own troubles. It took all of it time. Assam, Sikkim, they're doing so well for a certain reason. I recently found out about, I think, 96 officers that are being implemented in Assam in one go with full training of waste management. Amazing, right? So change is coming. Give it time. It will come. But yeah, you also have to be on the other end where you cannot just hope for the carrot. You also have to stand with the stick, ensuring that, hey, hello, your responsibility. Let's do something about it. So what your point is absolutely right. I completely agree. But let's find a solution.
Yeah.
The reason why, different cities have started at
Mic de do aap.
time. I slightly differ from this argument is, before 2014, there was hardly anyone talking about services. Before 2014. But 2014 is a landmark because in 2014, there was a change in the political leadership at Government of India. The ongoing flagship sanitation program called the Total Sanitation Campaign was renamed as Swachh Bharat Mission. There was financial allocation of as much as 1.5 lakh crore, right? So if I say that most of the cities was mandated by their state authorities to at least start a journey towards waste management, and in 2024, I'm restricting myself to only 33 cities of these 8 northeastern states who have actually reported. And I found that compared to the SBM data, which comes through the Swachhtam portal that is governed by Mahua, I am resorting more on the Swachh Sarvekshan data, which is not coming from the cities, rather coming from the third-party agencies. I can see that the average door-to-door collection is hovering around some 30%. The average source segregation, uske बारे में बात ही ना करें तो बेहतर है, right? So we had the first waste management rule in India in 2000, but it was more on cleanliness कि भाई collect करो कहीं भी डालो. But from 2014 onward, or when we had the SWM rule 2016, the mandate was a lot more clear. So what I have not been able to understand, that even after 10 years of journey, why the door-to-door collection is limited to only 30%? Is it an infrastructure problem or something else? So the argument is that I have started late, it doesn't stand valid, is because the mandate was there. And let me just also supplement one more quick point before the panelists can come up with their views. I asked, because we do trainings with cities, we have trained almost 450 cities till now. That's roughly about 10% of Indian cities. I asked one colleague one question, that the number that you have submitted in the Swachhtam portal, where did you get this number from? Right? Having served my own government, I know where these numbers actually come from. 98%, Dr. Momin, 98% of Indian cities do not have a monitoring mechanism of their own. The monitoring mechanism is all WhatsApp University.
That is true.
Right? So unless you don't know what is the quantity that your citizens are generating, what is the design capacity of your vehicles, and what is the design capacity that you need to process your waste, even if you bring your mixed waste, उसमें traveling density based separation, कहीं पर भी भेजो, कुछ भी करो उसके साथ, right? But this is exactly the discussion I was having with Siddharth when we were discussing about this panel discussion, that there are a chain of events. So the reason why the cities never felt like they should have a monitoring system of their own. हफ्ते में एक बार कर लो, महीने में एक बार कर लो तो चलेगा, but it simply does not exist. So even when I'm looking at the Swachhtam data that the cities have submitted, at least those who have submitted, if you go back and ask them that where did you get this data? How did you arrive at it was 30% or 35%? Right? Is basically what the question is. Yeah, over to you, Sid.
Hey, so I think what Atin is trying to ask is, so two things. One, why we all know that, like, I mean, at least the people in this room now are saying that, okay, source segregation is a must. We should go for it. But then we need to understand what are the barriers in implementing. One point that Dr. Momin pointed out is probably, we don't have simple enough communication to cover the entire, range of citizens that we should. Let's say from a kindergarten or a first standard child to a 80-year-old, maybe illiterate person, because we have them in the society. So one is definitely that, but what are the other barriers? And then even if we are not talking about source segregation, we leave it besides what Atin pointed to. Why is the door-to-door collection a meager 30%? Because these are two different issues, and I want the panel and even anyone from the the participants to.
Should I add all this?
I think,
yeah.
sir, if we can have
Yeah.
him respond and then.
Those who haven't spoken as of now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fine, it's fine. So first part is a simple answer. I think ma'am was already having the data. Characterization study did happen. So we did for Guwahati and Jorhat in the year 2022. We did it with iForest. And it was for the CPCB thing. It was not quantification. It was characterization and inventorization for the SUP band items.
SUPs.
Yeah, that happened. And yeah, so and then also we had meetings with the PCBA regarding doing this in 17 districts of Assam. This happened in 2023. I think tender was released and everything happened, but there was some political things that happened after that with certain teams. They got involved. So because of which it had to be closed down under some pressure. So steps were being taken. It didn't happen after that. As I said, the tender came out right after the CPCB SUB data was done. Right after that, the tender came out from the Pollution Control Board of Assam. And regarding, just saying regarding this part, you were saying about why the door-to-door collection is so less. Now, I am saying this because very recently, like the Guwahati Municipal Corporation has started a new project called Garbage Free Guwahati, trying to attempt something in 10 municipal wards. Like we have 60 wards, and in 10, they are trying to improve the collection and then talk towards segregation, of course, with improving the services. They have done quite good in one of the wards. So they started with one model ward where now the collection has, I think, ward number 48. The collection is now more than 90%, door-to-door collection has improved. And now it's up to 10 municipal wards. And then within few months, they wanted to expand it to the entire city right now. The challenge here, why even Guwahati is in Swachh Sarvekshan, the collection was around 46% that came out. So one of the biggest challenges are the partners who are collecting the waste. The idea is that how they are collecting is they are taking user fees, right? So after getting user fee, whatever profit they can make, like if they're collecting from the commercials, okay, so they have a good profit in that. And they're happy to make certain profit and they are done. Okay, so here there is a problem in the monitoring, definitely from the municipalities aspect, that why these people are not going. So now we are like working on the IEC aspect. So we do talk with the NGOs also. And we have found that this definitely tallies that in their revenue model, if they go to collect entirely, they said there is no profit at the end of the day. So we will not do it. Now, to again combat this, recently the municipality has again started putting up QR codes on different, on these 10 model wards, as I said. It has just started recently. It has been 2 months, I think now. And so that the drivers and all are asked to scan so that, they get to know whether they're collecting or not properly. And the user fee from residentials have been made zero completely now. And they're collecting user fee only from the commercials. Now the user fee has been made zero, not only from the 10 wards, but from the entire city itself. The reason being here, the city has been saying that one thing they found that people have been saying that I won't pay 30 rupees, rather I dump it somewhere. It was actually in Guwahati, it's as minimum as 30 rupees user fee. So the municipality is like, I don't want more excuses right now. They are like, now if I make it free, what is the next problem for you? Okay, that for not giving it to the NGOs who are coming for the collection. These are the certain steps they have been taking. But here I do understand that when we as IEC are told that, talk to the people about these new things that have come up, to not dispose it outside, we find that as I said already, the service is very poor. So it's not like the people are enjoying to dispose it on the roadsides or the open bins. Also that very less wards actually have a good service coming up. Right now, the tender is again going on for Guwahati. So I have been part of multiple meetings where the commissioners, as commissioners, have been extremely strict with the NGOs, talking directly that if you can't do proper door-to-door, it's time to change. Like we can't have you. Yeah, exactly. Means we understand that, but at least in the meetings, they are directly saying it that let us know if you are unable to, we will get others. But if you are unable to do minimum of at least a collection, forget segregation. If you can't do above 80-90% collection, it's time that you give up, you inform us, and we will let you out and get others team in. So these kind of conversations are coming in. So I think, as he was also mentioning, some level of improvements we are hoping to see. Yeah.
Earlier, there are the self-reliance system. Once that you decided that we don't have to pay the user fees and the service is free. Only the reason behind it that we wanted that the people should have a habit of giving their waste. There should be no any reason to say that we are not give because we have to pay money. That was the reason stated by that. Yeah, and the second thing is that because whatever the money is required for to do these services, that GMC is going to bear this, and that is the reason that they have said, once we are going to bear this burden, so all the agencies, those are engaged in that, now they have to do this service, now they cannot say that we are not getting money, so we are not able to do that. So that is the reason behind that why we have said that they have to do that, and there is a rigorous monitoring system.
No, I mean, on one hand, if we're talking about, revenue generation from waste management activities, and on the other hand, if we, waive off user fees, I mean, these two statements and actions don't go hand in hand. Yes.
So it's not,
For the good waste management practices, user charge has been waived off. That can be possibly think of, but the reason Guwahati is showing is something which is beyond our.
There can be discounts.
Oh,
There can be
Harshita
debate
wants to add.
as a matter of incentive. That okay, you are doing segregation, I'll give you 10% rebate on the user charge or rebate on your property tax bill or water tax bill. That's absolutely fine. It would be an incentivization measure. But waiving of the user charge altogether, I mean, this is a revenue stream according to my understanding as a practitioner. About 40% of the waste management operations cost is expected from this one revenue stream.
Yes,
The reason why the collection is so poor, this is of course my version of the observation, is because fund is getting gradually fund is getting reduced. The municipalities are barely generating any revenue, so they are absolutely relying on the government. And the government has started saying that unless you generate your own revenue stream, you won't be able to bump money forever like a one-way traffic. So this is user charge is a major issue. There is no data at a national scale.
so
Yes.
just one point that actually, to be very honest, and sir can add on to it, Arvind sir is here, that this decision was not of waiving off user fee was not taken by the executive. It was actually by one elected representative it was a political thing, and it was told that it will go on till the elections. And
Whether it's for the administrative.
no, so the idea is they had planned it that
But
the
that
plan is there that post like so whenever the advertisement was made, the one word which was told to us repeatedly is mentioned for the time being. The every announcement that came in went to the byline that for the time being your thing is waived off. Actually, the plan is to take it into the property tax and not keep on like the begging model that has been happening, that you go and people don't let. So they have already taken up the idea that it will be taken in so that automatically the fee can come in. So that has been like they plan to start it like post maybe by August, September. They're already planning that it's not actually waived off, but it's coming into it. But for a few months. So, and the question about revenue, what you were asking. So these NGOs are actually getting paid for the QR scans. So it's not like they are not getting paid. So now the GMC is paying to all these NGOs as per the QR scans, which showing how many homes they are going to. With that, whatever the user fee they had to get it from those homes, now the municipality is paying them. I don't know where they are getting the money from, but this is being paid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing comes for free, my friend.
Yeah.
If you are not paying it, somebody else is paying eventually.
It is in way. Yeah.
That what a municipal corporation must not be printing currency not within their establishment.
Yeah, Harshita wants to add something, so we'll go to.
Just wanted to say that for example, now, first of all, SWM rules also mandates you have to collect user fee. So again, the communication that, such a big city is giving out to all the states is one. And especially when we are working in Jorhat also, we have seen this, I think that especially in two wards, one ward municipality has said free collection, and the second ward the NGOs are collecting. So now for the NGOs, there are two problems that arise. One is that they cannot collect the user, like the other ward are saying idhar free ho raha hai, aap idhar se kyun collect kar rahe ho? Now Jorhat city is also doing the biomining.
So the fresh waste that they're dumping, NGO has to pay to the municipality again. कि हम वहाँ पे, so the both ways this NGO is, they are not able to meet the operational, the funds requirement that they need. And again, since, this behavioral change takes so much of time and we keep on changing the communication months after month, you just said it's time being. Nobody will remember time being after some time, right? And it is all the time. So operationalizing, especially for, NGOs, even we are working there. So behavioral change mein hum bar, every few months we keep on coming to the community and say, now this has changed, this has changed, this has changed. Again, so the whole, chain of thought that you have built in so many months, the progress cannot happen. It just does not happen.
Right.
So again, either we have processes which are, lasting long, and again, we have to look at the revenue models of all the people who are collecting. Now that we are working in Jorhat, one of the aspects that we did with the NGOs is like sit down and see their business models. What is the correct thing? What is where we can have more revenues coming in? What are the viabilities? If we need any viability gap funding, we always talk about viability gap funding in terms of infrastructures, right? We build it through CSR, we build it to that. But what about operational viability gap funding? We're going to try this out in this year, most likely, to see if we can have a reimbursement model for certain NGOs. If you're collecting completely, can we give you certain reimbursement on your fuel expenses? Can we give certain reimbursements on the, some part of other maintenance or anything like that? So we also need to look at some bit of viability gap funding, especially on the operational side, to see where the gaps are. We can fill it and then sustain it. Again, what the model probably Guwahati is taking up, somebody is paying, as you said, taxpayers of mine. It's not sustainable, right? Somewhere it will collapse. It again, we'll have to restart that. And especially this is such a wicked problem. So every time restarting it takes a lot of energy. And
in 2014,
yeah.
Reserve Bank of India and World Bank did a joint study.
Right.
A year after I actually joined the World Bank, so I was graduate. So they reported, and it didn't come out as a public domain because of many reasons. It reported that revenue from West was not even 10% of the money that we were spending. I don't know what the situation now, because SS doesn't ask this question to the cities.
Yeah.
That, the only way you can access the data is probably an RTI application. That how much are you spending on waste management and how much revenue are you generating? It's a very complicated data set that you're talking about. Where do I find it? Okay.
It is a mandatory condition for to avail the grant for the 55 solution. So that is already there.
Okay. Can you show me this?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. So I'll get the total expenditure on waste management on.
Percentage of the there. For that, it's need further details that
No, I'm asking about when Swachh Sarvekshan is implemented. Swachh Sarvekshan is asking performance data from the cities. Kitna collect kara, kitna process kara, weight, dry, वगैरह. But is Swachh Sarvekshan asking that how much did you spend on waste management?
They have 180 marks.
Okay. So, yeah. No, collection, operation cost has many other elements as well. It's not just collection transportation. Because your staff salary is also going there, right? So unless you don't, I mean, now I get the clarity like what exactly are you talking about? But the question is, some cities have an army of sanitation staff, and then they have a private contractor to manage their waste. Then if you have a private contractor, then why do you have that army of sanitation staffs in your city? Right? I know. Road sweeping is there. Correct. Road sweeping is there and correct. So if you want to calculate the expenditure on waste management versus revenue from waste management, then you need, in addition to collection transportation, you also need salary, you also need, whatever waste is getting processed, wahan pe kitna kharcha aa raha hai, machineries. You also need data from the dump site, because dump site pe jo heavy earth equipments hota hai, these are like energy guzzlers. मतलब एक मशीन है जो एक घंटे में 20-25 लीटर डीजल जला देता है. तो those data is also required. I mean, just having collection transportation data will not be good enough. Right. So that is only one section of the expenditure, but there are many more. That's
And
basically what.
is that data public? Is that data public?
I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Let's catch him after lunch.
Thank you. I just want my friend from Midway. Okay, I just want to. I'm so sorry. It's in Meghalaya context. I totally disagree with you to waive off the user charge and go for property tax. Okay, I'll just tell you. Right now we are doing a survey in Shillong City. Okay, and it shows the data shows that we have completed 27,000 household, and out of the 27,000 household, only 4,000 household are the owners. That means we are collecting only for 4,000, and we are giving a service for 27,000 household. So I would request everyone not to make that mistake that users charge will be in property tax. We have
It should be in kitchen wise.
yes, should be kitchen wise. Okay, and regarding this. And I'll tell you, the house owner will lie to you that they have so many kitchen for paying a tax. They will always do that. That is, yes. And I would like to substantiate our friends out here regarding the enforcement penalty. In Meghalaya context, I told you that we have 108 open dumping back in 2014. And in the May 2016, the Shillong Municipal Board, their challan, okay, they asked people to pay fines on polluters pay principle, 4 lakhs in May 2018. 2018, yes, 2018. And that 108 reduced to 8 numbers. So enforcement is very important, and penalty is very important on waste management. And regarding the the capacity building is state issue. This is what we strategize in Meghalaya context. We use civil societies. Civil societies can shout to the government, why you're not doing this? I'll tell you now, the state government, Meghalaya state government is very serious on waste management. Although we have given awareness program right from 2010 up to 2017 also, there's nothing to be seen and we use the strategy by using this environment enthusiasts. And one of the main leaders out there, she's an editor of a well-known newspaper. She came to the drain, clean it, and we have some foundations and all. They are public figures. And when they come to waste management, they want to come to the ground, the government has to look, then the government is being serious. So we should use a strategy that civil society can play a role in waste management policy. And regarding, this is for Sir Nitin, this is for you. Regarding this Swachhtam portal, I would like CSE to play a very important role on this. I'll tell you what happened, why the Meghalaya context, it shows that 207, the waste generation. When we talk about waste generation, what do we, I'll just ask Assam, waste generation, how much your waste generation? 105 ton per day, right? I'll tell you in Swachhtam bottle, they don't provide capacity building before they introduce any new portal. Okay, what happened is in Meghalaya and Shillong, they reported TPD, whereas they asked for the month of March. Okay, so what the Shillong Municipal Board write is 90. Okay, 90 for the month of March. So these ministry, what they do is they divide the 90 into 30 days. But actually 90 is ton per day. When we talk about waste generation, we talk about ton per days. Whereas they didn't provide any capacity building on how to fill up their portals. And I'm so sorry, I'm not saying that I'm not against anyone, but if you look at the Swachhtam portal, the Swachh Bharat Mission one, the portal is totally Swachh. Now you won't see the Swachhtam portal of Swachh Bharat Mission. So I would like CSC to please talk to the ministry and give the state a guidance on this. Yes, and thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I will just like to ask for 2 minutes. I have a few points noted. So I would like to talk on the infrastructure of solid waste and the way forward on the topic of the second discussion. So I feel we can coin a term, create wealth from the waste collected instead of creating wealth for the collection of waste. So if we can create wealth from the waste which we have collected using the latest technologies, which also implies decentralization to a great extent. I am not here to pitch for my solution for a particular solution on which I have provided the presentation yesterday, sir. But there are technologies wherein a decentralization to a great extent can also be sponsored by industries, hotels, tourism destinations, as well as food processing units, which need energy. And there are certain technologies which can create energy from the waste collected. Further, for certain biogas digesters, sir, please correct me if I'm wrong, there is a certain criteria where every day a certain amount of organic material has to be fed in order to keep it functioning. So there are certain instances where we have found that due to the lack of collection of waste in a proper way, there have been days where organic material could not be fed into the biodigester, which has led to the inefficient functioning of such things. So can there be just a single vendor? I would like to use the word vendor, but a single authority responsible not just for the collection and segregation of waste, but also for its processing, its maintenance, and its operation as well. Because in that sense, what happens is there's a single point where everyone can, which everyone can hold accountable. If there is certain issues which arises due to lack of transport of collected waste, lack of segregation of waste, so on and so forth. So just a final point I would like to put on. We see that organizations invest a lot in CSR by building schools, building children parks, which are also very much essential. But if the government can enact a bylaw, I'm not really sure if that is possible, but if the government can include something which also includes handling of the waste generated in their respective industry, also in their respective colonies, like big industries have their colonies where the manpower reside, also in the nearby villages, which will also enhance decentralization to a great extent. And further, we should also look into fresh waste processing as much as the importance which is given for legacy waste handling as well. Because today's fresh waste becomes legacy waste for the future. So thank you for your time, sir. We would like your suggestions on that.
You mean to say we should have a legacy waste and a fresh waste together at the same place? Otherwise, if you have only legacy waste, what will happen to the fresh waste? So fresh waste, which we have done with our experience of 5 years in NFL in Guwahati, we can go for incinerations, and that can save a lot of problem from fresh waste. That is a very important. You can think of it. You can discuss on this issue also. With the same place where we are having a fresh waste, like in Guwahati, we have a dump site. We are generating all these legacy waste. We are transforming to your RDF everything. But fresh waste, it's going on dumping. For fresh waste, if we have some incinerations process, which we have already tested for 5 years in NFL since 2018, I think we can reduce only, we'll have a inert materials which can go for landfilling if required, or if not to manufacture ash or anything like that. So these ways it can be reduced. So any technological information required, we can also help you with our experience of 5 years on these systems. That's all. Thank you very much.
I think I didn't get the part about, incinerating fresh waste.
Well,
Is it segregated or is it mixed?
it's a mixed one also. You can do up to certain pollution norms.
But for fresh waste, segregated organic fraction, we
Yeah,
have
we are,
proven
we are,
technologies
that,
like
that, for that technology,
biogas.
we have got one another technology from IIT Guwahati, where we are having biopaste also. At the same time, we are generating electricity through the biogas. That is also can be done. Yeah.
Entirely doing on the incineration. They are have that ash coming from incineration.
Correct. That is the project we are dealing. With the ash, you can take it as very minimum, hardly 10 or 20% will come. And this is a very successful project, I believe, for Northeast, especially where Arunachal we are having such a problem. One lady has done this, and that can be also, we have put a small unit there. Secondly, segregation, when we are seeing a very huge problem, source segregation, I have a mind in, I don't know, we can discuss on this. We have a system nowadays. We can put a small vehicle there. On that side, you can go for segregation. Suppose you're having a ward, there we put the vehicle, and from a vehicle, we can take the electricity from our own municipality post, put this thing there, it'll be immediately processed, and you make it all those, biopaste and other things can come out
But
that way.
sir, the example for Japan that you gave,
Yeah.
Japan has a very different waste composition compared to us. Point number one. Point number two, Japan has an excellent source segregation system already in place, due to which they
Yeah.
can
See, this incinerations can do, lot of problem can be solved. If we, as per pollution control norms, which we have received the certificate as per the norms we are doing in Guwahati, you can go up to 850 degrees, yet go more to 1000 degree also. The temperature generated through a system, it's a very important system. The oxygen, we call it forced oxygen is coming, and you don't have to fire it, just you give it on and it will be on and on throughout the way you are putting your garbage there.
Is it financially sustainable?
Yes, sir.
Is it financially sustainable?
Yes, why I'm saying finally, yesterday we have given a presentations. These project came into existence in 2019 when we went to NF Railway. They are having a, can I explain to you in detail? There was a laundry plant in NF Railway, and there they used to clean those railway, all those clothes. They were just using 100 liters of diesel per hour. Then we went to them, I said, why not we use a waste of energy project there? What we have done, the waste collected from the Maligaon township, we segregated those plastics we have sent to the Karayas and other things, and then we put there those materials we got from the Maligaon township, whatever it may be, biodegradable, non-biodegradable, we put it there. And as a result, they say it's a very fast project. And since 19 we started, unfortunately 22 and 21 we had the COVID, but we run the project with a full risk. It was running there. And then after 5 years, we got the result from the railway, the railway board. They have say 40% of the fuel cost. What we did, we didn't make the steam. We preheated the water up to 89 degrees centigrade. Now, this is a very important project.
Technicalities is already
Yeah, that has been done. So I don't want to take it by I'm explaining you.
I will share a link of an article which has been put out by one of my former colleagues, Swati Sambial.
Okay.
She was working with the United Nations Habitat Program in India. Please take a look, and I would be extremely curious because the learning that we had, my argument is based on what I have experienced, because in India, of this, how many waste energy plants do we have operational? Some 20 plants are operational in India. None of them, and you have a plant, you expect the ULB to collect the waste and bring it to your disposal. Then you charge the city a tipping fee for processing of every ton of waste that you get in your facility. You produce energy, you sell that energy to the grid. There is government subsidy for the energy. Now, if I do the math on the expenditure side and the revenue side, then the revenue that you are making is by selling the energy or by processing the waste, whichever you can. The other problem is you are receiving mixed waste in almost 99% cases. I haven't heard of a waste management plant which is receiving either wet waste or dry waste at the feedstock, right? So the burden of collection and transportation, financial burden, is still with the citizen. You are getting the waste and
No,
you are not having to spend anything.
in this case,
You
what
are
happened?
charging tipping fee over and above to recover your money.
No, you're true. What is happening? The same thing I heard from the Himalayan warriors that they have put up such type of things. It didn't work for 3 months. Our case is like that because it is in a captive locations. All this garbage we got at our place in a segregated where there is a different contract given by the railway to a different place. There's a number of advantages we had. Second one is that whatever they spend on the diesel, that is a benefit they got. Now that way they have reduced the cost. What we say, what is the economic viability, all these projects, they have get back their entire investment around 20-25 lakhs within a plan span of say 1.5 or 2 years. So that's why it's become a very successful project. And as a result, they have given the same project in NJP, New Jalpaiguri, Bongaigaon, now they are coming up for Katihar, maybe in Dibrugarh. This is what I mean to say. It is a very pilot project. Just an idea to start waste to energy. So these can be given to other places if people wants to that, and it can be made as per their requirement. So that's it. Thank you very much. I'm sharing this.
Yeah, so last intervention and then we'll break
I think
for lunch.
Jerusalem has an intervention so far. So please.
I have a question. If I do not ask this question, then it will be feeling like half sleep or incomplete dream. Because now I have already told you that I am totally gone out of mind and I am confused and puzzled. And I have learned one thing, that this conclave will be carried forward by our children only, because even I am thinking that whether waste will be managed one day or I do not understand. So my question would be to the sir and the madam, and I'm thinking for proposing a character management department also in the government of India instead of solid waste management department, so that something good can be happen. Jokes apart, my question is that can we focus on cutting down, not at least not zero, but at least zero the amount of waste we created or generated per day, rather than just dealing with it and setting up of infrastructure, many things, fund flow, this and that, manpower. Can we go down to individual level or not? That answer I want to know from both of you, and it would be very, very happy for me if you could answer at least. So that's my question.
Indeed a difficult question, but still we also have been promoting these eco alternatives to various products which we use. Like I said, our government has been already banned the carry bags. Recently, we also, not recently, 2 years back, we had approached Axis Bank to promote this, to manufacture cloth bags as a CSR. We are doing such things also. And with respect to the question you had asked with respect to low reporting of infrastructure, waste management infrastructure, Sikkim, we do not have any infrastructure at all. And I just wanted to, I actually came here to know about how we can make, or what are a kind of feasibility, what area is required, what is the amount of expenditure required to set up a small, even if it's a small scale, waste processing facility. Because what we do right now is we just collect and then we just send it to the nearby place, I mean Siliguri. So that is all we're doing. And normally, like when the truck comes outside a house, when I see the people, the Safai Mitras, we call them, we would be giving the buckets to them and they would be dumping on their truck. And the high value items, they will be collecting it and put it in this is the actual scenario I'm saying. high value items, they would be already collecting it, and a separate gunny bag would be hanging all around the truck. So by the time it reaches the landfill, the entire waste would not be reaching there. It would be already sold on the way.
Right.
So that is the actual scenario. And the problem here is when they are also transporting, they will be selling it. I think that money would be shared among the Safai Mitras only. And they would be selling it to like their contacts who would be taking it to the recycling centers. So what I would want it is that would also be a costly affair for him. So if at all we can at least have a small waste processing center or plastic center, which can, like I just met the previous colleague who spoke, we can have a plant wherein we can make desks and benches for school children, and we can supply that only to the government schools. Private schools, we cannot do that because that is out of our control. At least we can make a policy because it is recycled, and we cannot use that in eatables and all those cutlery. So we can have desks and benches or doors also. I was just thinking about that.
I just have a small question. When you say infrastructure, under SPM2, again, there is a financial regulation committed. I mean, it's also part of the union budget, so you can visit the website of Ministry of Finance. It's already there. So every city had a mandate to prepare a plan, which is CSWAP for solid waste and CSAP for sanitation, right? This plan was also supposed to have your infrastructure requirement only on the processing part, because they didn't agree to pay for collection transportation because they believed that it must have been already there in place. I don't know whether it's a correct assumption, but it was there. So these plans were supposed to be consolidated at the state level. The state level, there's a committee led by the chief secretary, it's called SHPC. And then the consolidated plan, including the budget proposal or financing, goes to the ministry. The ministry starts disbursing different installments. And since there is a performance link is there, so after once you get the first installment and before you get the second installment, you have to show some progress, right? And only then. So my question to you is that in case of Sikkim, because you only have 7 ULBs, so has it been done already, or has this process been completed? Or
with respect to waste processing, we just have MRFs.
Okay.
Just MRFs being constructed, and we do not have the knowledge also how to go about it, especially with respect to waste processing facility. That is why I wanted the help from the institute itself.
Okay.
I think I'll answer the question as for
take some time to come alive.
No, Acha. I'm trying to figure out which location that mic works, because it works on that end and doesn't work on this one. All right. All right. I'll answer your question, sir, where you rightfully mentioned that the too much focus is given on recycling and very little on reduce, right? The 3 R's. The reduce part of the 3 R's is something that is often overlooked. Now, there are 2 parameters to this, right? First, in order to reduce our waste, India, luckily till so far, have been mostly an organic waste producer. We majoritarily produce organic waste. We have about 45% of dry waste and about 55 to 65% of wet waste. In this case, actually, we are in a very right position. If we start an IEC campaign today, we should be able to see a very positive response in coming years in order for the reduced focused parameter, like reduced focus in terms of waste generation. Unfortunately, that is not being carried out. And that's true. I don't know if every state I've visited, every municipality I've spoken to, I've not been seen. Luckily, my first exposure to the entire reduced IEC panels will be end of this month. I'm supposed to have the same discussion in Australia end of this month and be a part of the member there. If I have any learnings, I'll give it to you. Apart from that, I would not be able to answer your question on that. Secondly, the second part of it is India is on one direction trying to maintain its waste, on the other direction trying to adopt Western consumerism, which is a very big problem now. Because in order to have that economic growth, you need higher consumerism, you need people to spend more on things. However, we also need to learn. We are actually in a very beautiful position to learn from all the damages the West has created and adapt to it. We don't need to have the same capitalistic mindset. We are a socialistic country in the end, right? We need to adapt, how we want our future consumerism to be. And that is a policy question that I think CAC would be able to address based on, it will require proper research to understand what will be a very sustainable method of taking consumerism forward such that India can grow as a consumer state while still maintaining its sustainability parameters. So right now, this question is a very beautiful question for the very right time. And India, in today's position and today's time, is in a position to implement, to first learn, study, and then implement the right solutions so that in 10 years' time, you won't be asking this question. And we'll probably maintain or plateau our waste generation somewhere. Today, it's constantly increasing. And to also ensure that the dry waste does not become a problem like it did in the West.
Okay, so thank you so much to the panel. If we can have a big round of applause for all of them. And also, so Kefi has an announcement and I'll just hand it over to him. Abhi. Acha. ठीक. Okay, so now announcement. Okay. Okay, so we are just kind of handing over our State of India's Environment 2024 to all the panel members. It is basically, it is a product of all the research teams at CSE coming together and contributing with their interests and their expertise. So it's a 500-page book. Our team has also contributed in this, and you'll find different agendas like climate change, like water, sustainable habitat, biodiversity. So it's kind of a go-to book if you are interested in environment.
So once you need to go over the book, yes. Follow the instructions. We are not very popular people to be able to advocate. For us, all of you are celebrating. Yeah. Yes. I'll take the link. Why don't you just understand?
So also request to the first panelist member to come forward and be a part of this, like no big book receiving. So all the member of first panelist, please come forward to the stage.
Join us. Join us.
इतना बड़ा फ्रेम नहीं है.
Okay, we have a new panel.
Okay, so we are breaking for lunch and we'll meet at 2:45. Please don't be late because then we'll miss the party.